Hello and welcome to The Natural View. I'm Maggie Jacqua. I'm the editor-in-chief of Whole Foods Magazine, and I'm joined by Todd Paulay of 24 Stories Marketing. Hi, Todd.
Hey, Maggie.
And our guest today is Karen Frame. She is the CEO and co-founder of Makona. It's a certified B Corporation that rewards consumers for buying better while helping brands and retailers grow their revenue. Hi, Karen.
Hello there. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you here. So I want to kick this off by kind of talking about consumer attitudes, because we're at this time where people are increasingly more aware of the need to be mindful in their purchases because of their health, especially in COVID times, and also increasingly aware of, the impact on the planet. And surveys show that people are willing to pay more for quality brands that help them support these goals. But at the same time, our financial world is a little shaky right now. So people are worried about their finances. So, I think loyalty and rewards programs are especially appealing. And of course, that's your business. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about what Makona does and consumer attitudes and how they're changing, especially now in the COVID days.
Yeah, so we have a free app for the consumer. They can download it from the App Store or Google Play. We help them discover and find better for them, better for the planet kind of products, no matter where they shop. So they can search by a category, they can search by organic or non-GMO or compostable packaging. It doesn't matter. These consumers are definitely aware of their health these days, especially because of COVID, and also the health of our planet. Increasingly concerned about climate issues, about pollution in the oceans. And so this puts the power of the purchase back in the hand of the consumer. So that's kind of the front end of Makona, but the back end's even better. So it helps these brands that are mission driven, that are certified B corporations, or have sustainable packaging or employ fair trade practices. Also get in front of the consumer, tell their story, and then figure out how to become more effective and efficient with their marketing dollars. And we collect data from that consumer all over the US, soon to be Canada as well, from over 31,000 points of sale right now. And we have both digital and physical receipt data. So that's kind of Makona in a nutshell. But yeah, the consumer attitudes are definitely changing. And we love to be on trend with what we've been doing. We've been working on this for a while. We've always thought that this is something that the consumers would really want and love. And we're finding that to be the case.
Yeah, it's cool. I like the filter aspect of it from a consumer standpoint, where if you really do have these intentions, and so many people in our industry do, to help out brands with a great cause or doing business sustainably, that takes a lot of work to track those brands down. And so from all the rewards benefits, everything else comes with it, I just love the fact that it's an easy way to connect consumers with good intentions and brands with good intentions too.
Yep, it is. And it's been interesting. We've had, we've been out in the marketplace just as an MVP-ish kind of app since the end of 2018. Lots and lots of downloads, lots and lots of feedback from brands, from consumers, and now retailers. And it's really going to help the retailer as well, quite frankly. As the attitudes have shifted, they're shifting again. Consumers were definitely worried about going into the grocery environment, as you know, and then they started shopping online. And so Makona helps with that, with these brands, but also helps with the retailers in getting those consumers back into the store again.
Yeah, I really want to talk about that for the retailers who are viewing. How do retailers play into this? How can they benefit?
So we track everywhere. right? And it sounds a little creepy, but it's not. All of the consumers that have signed up for Makina have opted in, is the best way to say it. We're GDPR, CCPA compliant. Consumers really do want to save on better. They're willing to pay a little bit more, no question, but there's still this whole idea of spending your whole paycheck on these better for you kind of products and brands that are doing good things in the world. And so basically, as I said, we're putting the power of the shopping back into the consumer. So the consumer actually can be driven back into the retail store with different offers that may be promoted through Makina. So for example, I don't want to name any particular retailer, but we have some retailers that are interested in getting all of their white label products on Makina and figuring out if these consumers are buying, let's say it's an organic tortilla chip, and they're buying a particular brand, and we'll say a well-known brand, and we'll just leave that as anonymous as well. How can we find those consumers that were buying that particular tortilla chip, either online or at another store? How can we get them back into our store when we provide an organic, white label, premium tortilla chip? And Makina can help them do that. We've built something super flexible on the back end where we can either partner with a retailer or partner with a brand to help them create more velocity. And for a retailer, it's like really truly increasing that basket size, really understanding where that consumer also shops, understanding how much that consumer is buying, price wise, like what the brand is charging that consumer in that particular store, and helping them also increase the basket size by doing partnerships with other products and other brands within the retail environment to make sure that they're leaving the store with maybe a 10% lift on the basket or even more, right?
Yeah, I'm curious. So that sounds like a great tool for retailers to drive people back into the store and also further establish kind of a one-to-one connection with their consumers. I'm wondering, without getting into a lot of the details, is it a pretty simple interface for retailers to go in and try to set up some of those partnerships? Because, especially with health food stores, a lot of times they're understaffed or they're running lean, and there's not a whole lot of time to do, some of the deep dive on metrics that they know they should do and want to do, but it's just hard. So can you talk a little bit about what that looks like for the retailer from a kind of a UI or experience perspective?
Yeah, let's talk about the brand first, and then I'll talk about the retailers. So
Sure.
for brand that's really small. So for example, Cape Cod Select is coming on Makina. We're super excited about that. It really took them no time at all to fill out a very simple spreadsheet. And for a retailer, it's also as simple, but it depends on what the retailer wants. So if they just want access to the data that we're collecting, we just turn on a portal for them where they can access that data as much as they want, 24/7 real time. So that is a new portal that we're launching in Q2.
Nice.
So just like really truly around the corner.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. They'll be able to understand who the customer is, where else they're shopping, what's in their basket, etc., and get that 24/7. So that's nothing. If the brand wants to do a loyalty platform with us, so, there are a lot of companies out there, both brands and companies that focus on the retailer. They're very expensive programs. Starbucks spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on their loyalty program, right? It's successful, but very expensive. So a lot of these independent retailers, like the I'm just trying to think of something. Alfalfa's is gone. We lost alfalfa's in Boulder and also in Longmont. The only one that's open is Louisville. But anyway, let's say it was alfalfa's and they wanted to turn it on. We could create a little retail space for them on the Makona app. And we just need a couple of images and really just to understand how they want to use Makona. And then we can start collecting both their receipts and the consumers that are purchasing at their stores, and then show them also where those shoppers are buying at other stores and maybe why they're buying there. And our back end is built in such a way that these retailers can talk directly with those consumers. They can ask them surveys. They can tell them why they should shop at their store instead of maybe a major retail chain or maybe on Amazon or another online forum. Yeah. So I hope I answered your question. I could talk about all day. So.
No, that's amazing. So they don't get the data on the consumers, but they communicate with the consumers through your program.
Yeah, well, they will, and they can see what the data is from the consumer directly, but they also can communicate. So we're a loyalty and CRM platform for both brands and retailers in our space, which is, the $252 billion of sales in the natural products industry. So food, beverage, clothing, supplements, beauty, pet, doesn't matter. We really, as I said, our bigger vision is about helping create healthier people on a cleaner planet. I don't know if the word create is the right way to say it, but helping people become healthier. Create a cleaner planet. How's that?
Fostering this community too, because you really are building up quite the community. And then you have on, your website, you have blogs and information to help educate people as well. And influencers. So it's really kind of spiraling out in a good way, right?
It is. We just launched a TikTok account called Makona.app. And so we have a bunch of TikTokers that are starting to TikTok about us. So it's kind of fun. And yeah, we're growing a real community. We haven't officially launched it yet, but we have basically a page on our website where it'll be like a Facebook group-ish kind of page, but it won't be Facebook, where brands, retailers, bloggers, nonprofits, brokers, distributors. This is something that a broker or distributor could use as well. Because, sometimes a brand's like, well, I'm not even sure if I'm in this store, and the broker and distributor aren't sure that they're in the store either. Our consumers are actually feet on the ground. If they're in the store, they can take a photo of the display on the shelf in the store. They can make sure that it's stocked. They can make sure it's priced right. They can really help the brand understand, and the distributor and the broker, if the product's moving off the shelf and, where it's merchandised, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, to go back to, what did you ask?
We were talking about the community growing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is one place where everybody's going to come together, and there'll be forums and groups within our Makona community. And we're starting off with just on the web, but it will also be on the app too. So you can shoot a message back to your friend that also joined and say, what is the best store for me to find organic produce? And your friend can shoot back, hey, I would suggest that you go to blankety blank store, right? Yeah. And so the other things are we're going to have where do we want to put our disposable income? What nonprofit do we think is going to help move our planet along the furthest? So Makona gives back, as you saw on the website, to Feeding America, the Equal Justice Initiative, No Kid Hungry, One Warm Coat. we would like to get some feedback from our consumers and our brands and our retailers. Where would they like us to give back on top of what
Yeah.
we're giving back,
Yeah,
right?
I love the opportunity for those connections and research and what can be done as that community grows out a little further, because it's hard, like you mentioned Facebook groups, and that's great if you happen to find people in the same group, but those are kind of a free-for-all, depending on what the angle is and what the breadth of that group is geographically or otherwise. But focusing everyone on this community, I mean, I could see potential for retailers and brands to tap into that whole network, both up the chain and down to consumers, to learn all kinds of things about, from store decisions to brand decisions. That's really cool.
Yep. And it helps everybody. We become more effective and efficient with our dollars.
Yeah.
The consumers, the brands, and the retailers. That trade spend. What's happening with the trade spend? Is it effective for a brand? Once they get into a retailer and the retailer's got this required trade spend, is that really moving the product off the shelf, or is there a better way to do it? And Makona's actually looking at sharing some of those dollars with retailers as well. So that's one of the things that I still need to, we haven't, again, Q2, which we're really excited about, but there are lots of ways for all of us to be, again, more profitable, and do a better job in connecting the retailers, the brands, and the consumer.
Yeah, well, it's so needed and so appreciated. I mean, we have to remember the natural products retailers, who are the ones who help us build this industry. And, these are tough times. So it's great to see it carry through and not just all about internet, which, we do our retailer survey every year. And, when we ask the retailers, like, what are the challenges? And it's always, the Amazon. Well, this year it was COVID. Obviously.
Yeah, exactly. I've said this 3 times already. We're putting the power of the shopping back in the consumer's hands, and as to how we help them be more powerful in their marketing spend or in their purchasing power, it depends on how we look at this world, right? Ultimately, the natural products industry is about doing a better job, period. And Makona was built with that in mind. I mean, I started in this space in 1994. We built these touchscreen kiosks back in 1994, and we had a nationwide contract with Wild Oats. That I will mention their name because that, is a past thing. But we were helping those consumers really navigate that natural products retail environment. And we built with them the first Wild Shopper card, which was a loyalty program. So my experience in the retail space and in loyalty goes back to 1994. Actually, it goes back to my great grandfather, who immigrated from Russia and set up a dry goods store in northern Wisconsin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I'm like, it must have been like built into my DNA.
Yeah, you're invested.
I'm totally vested. I'm totally invested and vested. Yeah.
You said earlier, you touched on that consumer attitudes are starting to change again. Can you give us some insights into what the data is showing, what you're seeing?
Yeah. So Makona's been kind of consistent. I mean, we track both online sales and in-store sales, and it was hovering around 5-ish% of online versus in-store. And then it started growing, of course, last March, about a year ago, to a lot of online. So without mentioning any names, and there's been a really big boom in this space. I mean, there's new sites like Veggie and Producers Market and Farm to Me. I mean, there's just all this explosion. Hive, Thrive, Amazon, you've already mentioned them. But so people are buying still, they're still buying online, and that grew. But what we've been seeing with receipts themselves is that the consumers are starting to head back into the retail stores. I mean, the retailers have done a great job, honestly. I mean, this has been,
Yeah, sure.
a whole new thing for these retailers to navigate, and consumers and brands.
Yeah.
Some brands couldn't keep their stock on the shelf because they couldn't figure out the manufacturing operations, right? Making sure that people weren't going to get sick that were working in the plants,
Yeah.
right? Other brands, like the emerging brands, were like, oh my gosh, I got to figure out a D2C play. I need to put everything on my website because no one's going to discover me in a store
Right.
because I'm just brand new. So Makina helps with all that. And it's been fun to see the different patterns.
Yeah, that's cool. So I'm wondering, for either a retailer or a brand who's, heard this, is intrigued, go to your website to check out more details. Is that the best next step for folks who are interested?
Yeah, they can just go to makina.com. Brands, there's kind of a hidden page for our
Okay.
brands. So you would go to the brand page, which is, makina.com/brands.
Okay.
Down kind of lower on that page, there's a brands join us URL, and they can go straight to the brand page and then they can sign up for a demo. But they can also see what the return on investment is. They can see what some of the other brands have said about Makina. They can also see what shoppers are saying about us. If it's a retailer, we just have a simple sign up form, and then they can just sign up to talk with us about what we're launching next month in a couple of days. Well, it'll probably be closer toward the end of April or beginning of May when we have the retailer access. But yeah, they could be first in line. So I'm really excited about how we can change and how we can help the smaller retailers get people back into their store. Right.
Absolutely. So definitely, I mean, we'll keep the retailers posted. So as you have more information to release on that, let me know and we'll share it. I can't wait.
I will definitely let you guys know for sure. Yeah.
So before we go, I just want to touch on one thing because we're saying Makina, but and congratulations on becoming a certified B Corp, by the way. I want to touch on, just tell the story of the name because it all ties in together so nicely. And I love the name and the meaning behind the name. So I want to make sure everybody hears that.
Yeah. So Makina means happiness in Swahili and abundance in Hawaiian and machine of all things in Arabic. Wow. So we're a happy, abundant machine. Happy means really, health and happiness of people and planet, which is great. We're also about abundance. And the interesting thing about abundance is that there's no scarcity. And one of the other types of problems that Makina is trying to solve, other than putting the power of shopping back in the hands of the consumer, is that everybody can be abundant. Brands, retailers. There's this whole issue around food scarcity and I can't even say it, democratization of these better products. So we want to make sure that, we're taking that sticker shock out of buying better for people that may have had second thoughts about buying organic versus buying conventional. And as you know, buying organic doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't, there are no pesticides, but it just means fewer pesticides, right? And that you're not going to get as sick. But anyway, so happiness, abundance, and machine, because we're a machine. To a certain extent, we're technology based, and we're just making things a lot easier for, again, consumers, brands, and retailers. Thanks,
That's
Brad.
a really cool story.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And like I said, keep us posted so we can keep the retailers and the brands informed. And we love learning about it. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for having me. And it was absolute delight.
Great. Yeah, great to meet you.